We've got to have money.
What's going on, YouTube? Rex back with another video, and this is gonna be a controversial video, but I think we all got an idea of this in the back of our heads, and I just want to enlighten this. And it's the fact that James Gunn's new DC universe, I just don't know, man. Like, I have a good feeling about it, but I also don't have a good feeling about it. And after these news of Gal Gadot returning in the DCU, it's just like, why, bro? Like, makes no sense. And I don't know, screams pussy energy. But yeah, I want to talk about 3 reasons why the DCU, the new DCU, just might not work out. And it might not necessarily be because of the quality of the movies, because they're getting high quality directors like James Mangold, James Gunn. I didn't think Andy Muschietti was that bad, to be honest, for the Flash movie. So let's begin with like the first thing that I want to talk about, which is the main reason why DC has never worked. That's the main reason why it didn't work in the 80s, why it didn't work in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 2010s, and even up till now. It's just been a mess. This is because the studio is super duper insecure. Anytime they trip over a banana, they think their brains are going to hit the floor and their skull is going to crack. Life doesn't work like that, and you can't just expect to hit a home run every single play. And what do I mean by this? The studio expects to do big all the time with every single movie. They expect to make a gajillion dollars, which just, it's not realistic. We can look back at even the MCU. A lot of the movies in the MCU initially did around the numbers that the DCU did. They did around the same numbers. We can look back at movies like Captain America, The First Avenger. That movie did around 300 million. The only movie that did around $1 billion was Captain America Civil War. Everything else did, I think Winter Soldier did around 700 million, if I'm not mistaken. We got the Iron Man trilogy. The first 2 ones did not make $1 billion. I don't even think the first one made 600 million. So the studio has to stop this madness. We can even look at their golden goose egg baby, the Dark Knight trilogy. The first movie in that trilogy, which was Batman Begins, did dookie numbers if we're talking about hitting $1 billion. That movie only did about 300 million, which is around like Black Adam money, Captain America, The First Avenger money. So they gotta stop freaking out all the time with the numbers and like just do their thing. Like some of the movies actually be kind of dope. Like, I thought Black Adam was kind of dope. I thought the Suicide Squad was kind of dope. Those are pretty much the only 2 that I thought were dope. The only 2 past DCU movies. Everything else been kind of dookie, not gonna lie. But yeah, like, they gotta stop this like just assuming that every movie is gonna do well, and if it doesn't do well, they gotta switch up their plans all the time. I'm pretty sure in the last 10 years, Warner Brothers has gone through like 3 to 4 leaderships, which is just ridiculous. I'm telling you, if they had continued with Snyder, they would have been doing really well. And we can look back at Man of Steel, the first Man of Steel movie. First movie in a potential trilogy, 600 million. That is really good. No MCU movie at that time, like first movie in the franchise, had done those type of numbers. The first Iron Man movie had not done those type of numbers. The first Thor movie had not done those type of numbers. the first Captain America movie, Hulk movie, any of those movies did not do 600 million, close to 700 million. So the studio, the thing is, the movie came out around a really bad time. It came around the time that the Avengers, it would have been a year or a little over a year ever since the first Avengers movie came out, and everybody was just, oh my God, jerking the heck out of that movie, was just glazing the heck out of that movie. I thought it was a mid movie, even back then when I was like 8 or 9 years old. I thought it was mid. I thought it was pretty decent, to be honest. I mean, it was cool, but at the same time, I've always been more of a DC fan, so, you know, I didn't really geek out. And then we had Iron Man 3 the following year, which came out a month before Man of Steel, and that did $1.5 billion, I think. But here's the thing, that was the third movie in the trilogy, and it came out after the Avengers, which also did $1 billion. And that was the Avengers was the culmination of all those different franchises, which had been like 5 to 6 movies in build up to get to the Avengers. So they earned that $1 billion. It wasn't like they just hit a home run right off the bat. And that's the problem with this studio. If they don't do $1 billion right off the gate or close to $1 billion, it's a loss for them. It's a loss for them. This studio has no hope in themselves. They have no faith in themselves, and they're just like really insecure. And Superman Legacy comes out in about, I'd say, like 700 to 600 days from now. I think 600 and something days, like 690 something days. Seems really far away, but it's not. And like, yeah, they just like grow some balls, man. Like, y'all actually did really well with Man of Steel, and y'all went straight to BVS instead of for initially doing a standalone Batman movie. But anyways, that's it for the first point. The second point is the fan base is just way too divided. The DC fan base is divided into 3 fan bases. We have the fan base that will watch anything DC, which is where I fall into. I'm just a DC fan, and even if I see that the movie is probably gonna suck, I still support because I'm just that big of a fan. But I will admit that's starting to get kind of tiring because I actually want to see some quality movies, and I'm like, inflation is really high these days, and I don't just want to spend my money on Dookie. And then we have the Snyder fan base, and then we have, which is a pretty big, I'd say it's like the second biggest fan base. And then we have the really loyal to the comics, likes everything comics accurate, or at least watchable audience, which I would say is like the biggest part of the DC audience. Like, this is the audience that did not rock with Man of Steel or BVS because it just wasn't what they would grow up with. It didn't hit the same. We're talking about YouTubers like Doug Walker and stuff, you know, like they weren't rocking with the Snyderverse. Here and there, they still watch some DC movies. Like, I saw a lot of those types of DC fans. They watch Black Adam and they watch the Suicide Squad, but they didn't watch Shazam! Fury of the Gods and The Flash for obvious reasons. And yeah, I get it. I get why. Like if you were to watch an episode of Justice League Unlimited and then you were to see like an average DCU movie, like, you would be pissed. And that's that type of fan base. And why is this important? Why is this real fan base important? This whole talk. It's because we see in the MCU, a movie might look like it's gonna be trash. Like, it just looks bad, like the Eternals. But you're still gonna see people showing up. That's the fan base. That's the fan base that you want. That's like the loyal customers that are gonna come in and come out. And the MCU has really a big chunk of loyal customers. I'd say just with loyal customers, the average MCU movie already has about $350 million made by default. This is why you've seen a lot of Phase 4 movies still do well. Like, they still made above 500 million. They have a really good, loyal fan base. But the DC fan base, it alienates every fan base. With us, the loyal fan base is my fan base, my type of fan base, which is like the really loyal one that will just watch anything. They alienate us by producing mid movies. They alienate the Snyder fan base because of the way they treated Snyder. I don't want to go into that in this video because that would make the video really long. And they also alienate the like really hardcore original DC fans. They alienate that fan base. And that all comes down to the studio insecurity because they're always switching plans. They don't stick to anything. They don't stick to their guns. And if they keep doing this, they're just going to continue to fail. It's not going to work out. And yeah, and you guys might be saying, oh, James Gunn, he has a loyal fan base. Yeah, but this brings me to my third point. James Gunn is doing making a lot of iffy decisions, like bringing back the Suicide Squad cast or bringing back Gal Gadot, which just makes no sense because he's not bringing back Ezra's Flash or Jason's Aquaman or Ben Affleck or Henry Cavill, any of those guys. But why are you bringing back Gal Gadot? Like, stop being a pussy and either bring back no one or bring back everyone. It will continue to confuse the audiences and it will turn some people off. Like, they'll think that this is the original DCU, which is just not the case. But, yeah, that's just... James Gunn, I don't know. The problem isn't even James Gunn. The problem is just the studio. The studio is just, like, really sus. Like, they just make a lot of weird decisions. And, yeah. Anyways, do you guys agree with this